with another episode. And I'm going to tell you something that I want to relate from my last couple of sessions, game sessions. I didn't inherit a campaign, I inherited a time slot. My GM, DM, Matt, also known as Odinist on Dragon's Foot, he decided to take a break for like a month or six from doing 5e or any kind of D&D. And basically, he turned to me and says, Glenn, why don't you run that Savage World stuff you keep talking about? And I said, okay. Now, he asked me to take over a campaign. Now, this is the true confession. This is the first campaign I've ever run. 99.9% of my DMing and GMing have been one-shots, maybe an adventure over 2 sessions. That's about it. So I'm jumping into this full feet. And plus, we're all learning the system. Not only me. Isn't that nice? And so we're all learning together. So it's all like we don't feel if I screw up, they screw up, we correct it. I decided to use the 50 Fathoms campaign because it's solid and it's interesting and everybody likes to play pirates. Now, the trouble I was having, starting with the second session, we've had 2 sessions already. Now, the trouble I was having is going off on my own. Let me explain that. The first session was the adventure Maiden Voyage out of the original book, which starts the plot point campaign, and it's a great intro to the world. They get shipwrecked on a savage island filled with red men called Yugaks who are bloodthirsty and all kinds of dangerous critters and dinosaurs and stuff like that. And that's where they start. So I ran the first one. No biggie, a couple of fights, they're there. And what's left of their crew, they do have a skiff that they repaired because the original ship was totaled. I mean, the bottom was, was like chewed out by some rocks or something like that. But they found a skiff they could repair using the pieces from the ship. So they did that. And so I ran that, no problem. But I decided in the second one, I really don't want to do anything in the book. I want to do my own thing. So I took a plot hook from the book that was based in that island about rescuing a big game hunter who set up a village there and keeping the bad guys away. And I just sort of went off on my own. I've had this Yugak, this injured Yugak, not Yugak, an injured Kraken come in with a map showing where the captain is. He's in this cave and he's injured because he escaped the Yugaks, the red men. And the crew are a pretty mercenary lot. Now, the altruistic thing doesn't quite work for them, some of them, but I mean, they've had arguments. They're interested in pillage and plunder and all piratey things. So I said, well, this guy got us shipwrecked here. We don't give 2 hoots about him, blah, 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 blah. But then they noticed that the map that you get carried in was a treasure map from another pirate, a notorious pirate that he found in the cave he used to, find the captain. And they said, okay, so they had this Kraken take them. I mean, one guy wanted to kill him because he managed to bring a Yugak hunting party into the camp because they were following him. And another one wanted to tie him up to a tree. And they said, no, we need him to find where, they got him. So they find another camp. And they're torturing this Englishman in the hunting camp's, base. And so after taking care of those guys, the Englishman thanks them because he's the second in command in that village I told you about that the big game hunter established that nobody knows about. And he said he's looking for the big game hunter because he disappeared a few weeks ago, out looking for something, for food probably, or exploring because he's one of those guys. And he hadn't seen since, so he went out to look for him and got captured by the Yugaks. And the crew said, the player characters say, well, he doesn't really have anything to do with what we want to do, so we're going to let him go. He didn't have any money and all this other stuff. Well, we thanked him to let him go. And I'm going, that's going to be a problem because I set up this from the Savage Worlds book, or the Dream Park book, excuse me. I set up a what they call a beat chart. Now, basically, this is a plot thing. Um, curse these cameras. If you can see it, there it is. Get a little darker. I did like hook, development, cliffhanger, etc., climax, epilogue. Okay, simple plot that way. Now, I like doing plots like that, but at the same time, I have a problem with railroading. Not really a problem, but I don't want to railroad. And this means it's kind of railroady, but at the same time, I needed something where they could go. Fortunately, I'm playing Savage Worlds, which makes it easier. What happened was they were supposed to get information from the Englishman, but they let him go. And I said, okay. And then I started thinking, well, where else can they get the information from? The Kraken, probably. But then they decided, oh, we need this guy anyway for some reason or other. And they found him being attacked by razorwings. 2 swarms of them. They took care of those, and they took care of a T-Rex that came through the forest. And they said, well, why don't you come with us? You can take us to your village, and you can help us find the captain. Okay, fine. So they decided there's this big old river that runs through the island. And it's filled with all sorts of nasties. They got great whites in there. They got piranha. They got anything that eats you. And I thought, okay, fine. They'll have like the savage apes attack them while they're trying to cross it or something like that. Well, they decide, well, we're just going to go around the river and on the boat. And so they did. But I had something attack them anyway, so just so, it wasn't a total loss. And they ended up in the village. So now they're in the village, and the next session is going out to the cave to find the captain and any other trouble they can find. I'm going to make it easy for them. Now, first of all, I have Savage Worlds, which is great because it gives the GM room to breathe. What it does is it takes some of the hassle out of taking a GM. For instance, the allies, like NPCs for the characters, they are run by the players, which is great because it keeps the players involved. If they're down, they're hurt and they can't, do anything, they can play the NPC. They can play the ally. And also the game, the way it's set up, where there's what they call extras, which are usually your cannon fodder stuff, like half a dozen orcs or a dozen goblins or something like that. And, I've been there at D&D where I'm trying to track down the hit points of every single frickin' goblin on the table, and at the same time trying to attack them. Okay, it's their turn, so let me make 12 attack rolls or whatever. That kind of stuff kind of hurts my head. But this one, it's like they're nothing. They go down, they mow down easy if you do it right. And most players do. So it frees me up to think about other stuff. Like, for instance, encounter tables. I never used to use encounter tables. It's not that I didn't want to. I had them. But I would get so like this, focused on the story in the game and what the players are doing and stuff like that, I forget to use them. And so it really gives me some, like I said, gives the GM breathing space to actually the role playing, do the role playing, do this, keep track of, where the story's going, juggle if you have to, that's a good GM thing. A lot of you GMs already know that out there. It's like, okay, if they didn't go in this area where the setup was and they went over here, we'll just move this over here, which is one way to do it. And also, to tell you the truth, it started working on my brain when I did my game at North Texas RPG Con, but it really panned out here where I can take, like, there's game information that the players need to know, and I can juggle it. If I have 2 or 3 good NPCs in the game, like if they don't want to meet this one guy, I had that happen in the D&D game. They had to go meet the zombie master for part of the plot last time, and they wanted the guys at the convention game, they wanted nothing to do with zombies. So there's one source of information that I will have to do something about because I wanted to get them certain sort of parts of the story. So they also had to go see this gravedigger who knew the count. So I just give the gravedigger the part of the story. No problem. They never met the zombie master in the forest. Well, actually, it wasn't. They didn't want any zombies. Basically, the forest was full of werewolves. And it's like, no, 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 no werewolves. Thank you. No, no. But anyway, that's what I mean. Keeping your plot loose. So I think of this more as a framework. What I did was I took this paper and I started a GM book, Game Master book, and I put all the party in there, all their stats, and I reduced the plot framework to one line each, and I wrote it down part way. I'm going to keep this one, but I wrote this down as per what happened. Well, 2-3 lines and a couple of, but what happened in the game rather than what happened that I planned out. So I can go, okay, they did that, so I can do this. And it's kind of a chess game. Not really a chess game, but it's like back and forth. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep with this. I have no idea how they're supposed to do A and B. I have no idea how they're going to do it, if they do it, but I can make A and B happen. I am confident I can make A and B happen. I've never been so confident running a game, let alone a campaign, in all my life. And I thank Savage Worlds for that, because it really, but this can happen. This can be applied to any game, any role-playing game. You just, look at the framework, come up with an idea and a framework, and you know how you want it to end, okay? I know you know how I want it to begin. I know how I want it to end. Everything in the middle takes care of itself. Now, whether it'll start that way, I know it'll start the way I want to, but whether it ends the way I want to is another story. And it's gotten to the point where I don't care. I'm along for the ride. It's fun. I want to see what happens next just as much as the players do. So that's my advice as far as like keeping games flexible and loose. Use those encounter tables when you have them, but don't make them rule it. Don't make them rule you. And try Savage Worlds. Hey, I mean, it's not like I'm never going to run another D&D game or play another D&D game, but right now Savage Worlds is my baby. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.